Welcome back to another episode of What Should I Get Pierced? My name is Scott Wilkinson. I'm a professional body piercer, and I have been since 1994. Now on the show, we're going to take a look at 6 different people. We look at their faces, we look at their ears, and I tell you what would be good possibilities for piercings, and ultimately what I think would look best. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe. Now, the first person we're looking at today is going to be Rachel. So now looking at Rachel, I see a septum piercing automatically. I love septum piercings, and those little cones on that septum jewelry is beautiful. But what would we add here? Now, honestly, for some reason, I love to do some mantis piercings. Mantis piercings are forward-facing nostril piercings. You see a couple small dots right on the tip of the nose. Super, super cute. Now, another option here I would say would be Medusa or the philtrum. The Medusa or philtrum right above that center lip, nice big piece of jewelry in there would look really good. And I could also see either a labret right in the center, a little bit lower like that, or dolphin bites, which are two close together labrets, which I ultimately go for the paired ones. I love the paired ones much, much better. So what else could we do here? Oh, for sure we could do a jestrum. As you can see how a jestrum would fit perfectly with a little curved barbell in that upper lip. I like the jestrum a lot. And another possibility would be a dermal anchor. Dermal anchor up on the side of the eye right up in here with a nice gem. I think that would accentuate her eyes perfectly. Now, I'd kind of stay away from some of the nostril piercings. Look like these glasses might fall down far enough. Same thing with the high nostrils, and it also gets in the way of a bridge piercing. As far as eyebrows go, it looks pretty flat and kind of taunt up there, but if there's enough room, I could see an eyebrow piercing. Vertical like so, but honestly, I could see more of the horizontal one kind of going side to side towards the peak of her eyebrow. I'd like that a lot. Now, as far as my ultimate picks, I would have to go with the jestrum and the dolphin bites. Now, let's take a look at her ear. Looking at her ear, we only see the 2 earlobe piercings. I like the placement. Honestly, possibly even start stretching this bottom lobe. You can see how I get a larger piece in there. Would look really cool. Now, as far as new piercings, tragus. I could definitely see a tragus. A conch piercing. You could either do that small little gem or a nice big cluster in there. A rook. This ridge comes all the way down up here, but a nice tight little curved barbell right up there. And of course, there's plenty of room for helixes all the way down the curvature of the ear. But I could honestly see a little lower because we have the glasses coming back here. You need to accommodate for that, so maybe 2 studs like so. And as far as my ultimate picks, I think a tragus and a double helix. Up next, we have Feliza. Now, Feliza is apparently no stranger to piercings. She mentioned that she's still in the process of stretching her septum and her philtrum, which is pretty cool. I'd love to see how big you could get with that. And said she also had problems with her bridge piercing, that it wasn't healing right, a bead fell out. But what else could be suggested? Now, she did mention a high nasolang and wearing a chain, which as soon as I looked, I thought high nostril piercings, but a high nasolang would be pretty rad as well. As you can see, the bar going all the way across. Let me try that second one a little bit more straight, like so. That would be really, really epic with a nice tight chain across there, or possibly 2. What else could we get pierced? I love the idea of the bridge. Maybe you didn't have the right anatomy for it. It might be able to be moved up or down a little bit to adjust if it didn't work out right, but I could totally see you with another bridge. The scar looks perfectly placed though. I could also see some angel bites. Now, the angel bites I could see bringing in just a little bit more than normal, like so. I think that would be a really, really fun look. And if you look real carefully, you can see there is a tight little nose ring around there. I could totally see things being symmetrical and getting the other side pierced. Now, as far as my ultimate picks, definitely the nostril and also those angel bites. Now let's take a look at Feliza's ear. Now, she did mention she did have some trauma during the stretching of the piercing, and sometimes you see that around the skin around here. Massaging can actually break that up a little bit and make it look a little bit more smooth and a little bit more normal. Now, I love the stacked jewelry in there, but honestly, if you added a little bit more weight and pulled them down a little bit more taut, it might make them look a little bit more straight as well. As far as adding other piercings, she did mention she had a lot of other piercings, and I can see some scars in there, but what I would like to add would be a rook piercing. You can see there's a nice rook right up in there. Maybe a double conch. Forward helix. One lower, like right down in there, below the rook. And honestly, I can see a really cool orbital at the top of the ear. There's enough of a fold up here so you could have part of the ring coming down and then the other part coming across the top up there like so. A lot of fun options. Now, as far as my ultimate picks, I would have to say the orbital and the double conch. And moving on, we have Carle. Now, I don't see any piercings on Carle, but what I do visualize is a septum piercing. I think a septum piercing here with a nice tight cute little ring would be amazing. Now, I could also see a possible Medusa or philtrum. I could see either a small gem or a nice big elaborate fancy piece. And I could definitely see gold too. Another possibility would be a vertical labret. As you can see, a vertical labret would be just perfect there. And also some eyebrow piercings. Now, with these eyebrow piercings, I would say, Ian, just a little bit more towards the top of the curve here. One on each side, because I like symmetry, and I think symmetry looks really good on her. And the last option I'm going to say would be high nostrils. You can see some high nostrils here. One on each side like so. But as far as my ultimate picks, I'm going to have to go with the septum and the vertical labret. Now let's take a look at her ear. Now there's a couple lobe piercings here in the bottom. First thing I'm seeing here, I'm going to go right to the extreme, which would be a tragus to anti-tragus orbital. As you can see, these look fairly parallel with each other here, which means if you did a ring where the ring goes in the back and comes out on the front like so, I love this piercing. You have to have the right anatomy for it, and it looks like she has the perfect anatomy for this orbital. Now, other fun options would be, of course, the doth piercing, which would incorporate right around there. Also a conch piercing. Now, as you can see, the cartilage has a nice fold all the way up here, so helixes are kind of tough to do, but if you can heal it up, you can do helix piercings right in there, and with rings, they kind of hug inside the cuff of the ear, which looks really, really nice. But I think they look best with rings, but you gotta heal them with studs first. And also, take a look at this rook. It's just screaming to be pierced. Definitely want to do a rook piercing. And maybe 2 forward helixes. Looks like there's enough room where we can do 2 small little studs right there. Now, it's a lot of piercings, but I'd say my ultimate picks, I'm gonna have to go with the doth and the conch. And up next, we have Kendall from Costa Rica. Now, Kendall has a labret and a septum piercing. Maybe some more, we'll find out here in a second. But what I would recommend here, I want to see a bridge. I can see a bridge on you. Definitely a bar across there. As long as you're not wearing glasses and you have the right anatomy, bridge would be super, super epic with the look you have already. Now, I could also see snake bites. Get some outer lip piercings, some extra studs so you have that triple going across the bottom. I could also see some eyebrow piercings. For sure. A couple eyebrow piercings. Kind of a wicked look. Really wicked look. And last thing I could possibly suggest would be the high nostrils. I would almost say nostrils, but a little bit higher up here. Not full high ones, but like medium. Yeah, pretty cool. Now, as far as my ultimate picks, I have to go with the eyebrows. All right, now let's take a look at Kendall's ear. Now, Kendall has a nice large stretched lobe piercing, maybe around 7/16 or ½ inch. As far as adding new piercings, a Tragus piercing. You can see how a Tragus would work really nice. It protrudes out, would show really, really well. And of course, look at that doth. You can see a doth ring in there. Could also see a rook and helixes. You could do normal helixes down the side like so, or the anti-helix, which protrudes quite a bit more, as you can see, bringing them on the inside like so. I think I like the anti-helix a little bit better. As far as other piercings, plenty of room to add a conch piercing, 2 or possibly even 3. Some people have a large enough conch to supply 3, and it's pretty epic. Now, as far as my ultimate picks, I would definitely be going with the Tragus piercing and the triple anti-helix. Up next, we have Augusta. Now, let's take a look at Augusta, and Augusta has a single nostril piercing. It's kind of hard to see, but there it is right in there. Maybe let's do one on the other side to kind of match things up. So you have one on each side. I love the symmetrical look. As far as adding new piercings beyond that, I could see a Jestrum. It looks like her lip is pouty enough for a nice vertical labret up top like that, or vertical curved barbell, I should say. And maybe an Ashley piercing. You can see how her lip is nice and pouty, but right through the center of the color of the lip, having a nice forward-facing gem. Beautiful. And as far as lip piercings, here I can see getting a little more asymmetrical, maybe doing spider bites on one side, but at the same time, we kind of balance things out with maybe eyebrow piercing up top. I could also see maybe a dermal anchor up on the side of the eye up here, inside the glasses, so you can still see it behind the glasses, which is kind of a fun look. And with my ultimate picks, I definitely have to go with the Ashley, the spider bites, and the eyebrow. So now let's take a look at her ear. Right away, you got the 3 lobe piercings, the single helix up top, and room for plenty more. For instance, I would love to do maybe forward helix, one right up there, kind of balances out with the other helix you have going there. Also a Tragus piercing. And a snug. You can see how this area kind of sticks out a little bit. I think it's asking to be pierced. It's a rougher heel, but it's a really cool look. And with the spacing, it works perfectly with the other lobe piercings. Again, plenty of room here for an anti-helix piercing. Maybe adding one there and one there. Almost kind of creating a little triangle look with the other helix. If you wanted to, you could add that second dot up even higher, like so, to kind of complete the triangle. More of an equilateral one. And there's always room for more helixes if you want to add one below, maybe one above. Now, I would have to say for all my ultimate picks, I'm going to go with the snug and another helix. Now, before we move on to Vicky, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button. Now, Vicky has a single nostril piercing, is looking to get some more. As far as new options, balance and symmetry, so we'll do the other side of the nostril. Or if she decided to do a smaller ring, a little thinner, so it's not as elaborate, you could do another nostril piercing, so eventually you have 2 rings going on the same side, which is a really nice look. And if you did the double ring on the one side like that, you could also go ahead and do a side lip piercing to balance things out. There's a perfect spot for a Medusa piercing right in the upper lip, or we turn that right into the Jestrum. And I could also see some snake bites. And possibly high nostrils, especially if you got that other nostril done, because the high nostrils there, and then the extra one, you got the 4 kind of going all the way around. Really epic. And last option I would say would be an eyebrow piercing. I know your hair kind of covers up in that area, but if you had it, those beads would just kind of peek out of the hair once in a while. Kind of a fun look. Now, as far as my ultimate picks here, I have to go with the eyebrow and also the Medusa. All right, let's take a look at her ear. Maybe just a single earlobe piercing is all I see without any jewelry, but we could start stretching that and definitely making that a little larger. Another fun option here would be the doff. Now this whole area right in here is not real big, so we could possibly do a doff piercing in here. We could do a rook piercing, possibly even a conch piercing. I don't know if there's room for all three, but each one of those could be good possibilities. Now, you can also see how this ridge right here, the snug, does protrude, so we would be able to do a curved barbell right through there if you want to do a single snug piercing. Now, the cartilage up here folds over, so you can almost do a hidden helix. You know, doing the piercing a little higher up here and having like a nice big gem coming out, kind of a diagonal helix. And last option here I'm going to say would be more lobe piercings, possibly a set of stacked lobes behind this one. So you have the single lobe piercing, maybe creating another one and another one lower, so creating the triangle on the earlobe. A really fun look. Now, as far as my ultimate picks here, I would love to do the stacked lobes and the doff. Well, that winds everything up here for today. How did I do? Let me know in the comments. Now, if you enjoy videos like this, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of my videos. Hit the like, and of course, keep putting holes in your body. We'll see y'all in the next video.